Alright guys, I have the Draco plugged in on the 3S 300 mAh battery pack. I will be doing a second flight on the 4-cell 300, but for now I'm going to run it on the 3S to keep it a little bit lighter. Now I have my battery set all the way back on the Velcro to get a bit more of an aft CG because that's what I like on my stall planes. And you can see everything does work. And I have my safe select working. So we'll see. I am really curious as to how this thing flies because I've seen lots of mixed opinions on it online. Taking off. Okay, Draco's up. Now, I actually did not even open the manual, I will not lie. So I have 100% rates on everything. This is me cruising at like 50% throttle. Does need a bit of elevator trim. Aileron. Gonna try and keep it closer. Sorry, I have to trim right now though. But I think we are now officially good. Let me give you a low flyby. Let me see how well it'll sustain a hover on a 3S. Okay, that is full throttle. Let me try again. This time I'm gonna kick the flaps up, give it a little blip. Flaps up, flaps down. Yep, that is full throttle. So it is weird how even on a 3-cell, it does that, but you know, still have the 4-cell to fly with. Let me try some knife edging. You of course have your high wing aileron coupling. Let me try again. Yeah, so you have some elevator and aileron when you do a high alpha. Nothing too bad, but you know, it is a high wing aircraft, so. Now let's test out the stall characteristics. You're clear. I'm gonna go over the trees for this one. I'll also go way higher. So let's load up the wing. Okay. I'm gonna go even higher because I don't really trust myself. Load up the wing. That's full elevator, it's full elevator. Okay. So you can see it does drop a wing. And I just powered out of that. I should not have touched my ailerons at all, actually. So it does not stall violently, but you do need to know how to recover. And even I'm still learning that technique. Because sometimes you can get away with, you know, opposite aileron on the stall, but definitely not this model. So it does drop a wing, but not violently, and you can definitely recover from it. It feels really, really nice. But I really feel like it should have more power on a 3-cell 300. Let me do a vertical. So that's your vertical. That's full throttle, full throttle. That's really all you're gonna get. So I'm hoping the performance is better on a 4-cell. But also it's gonna be heavier, so. Yeah. Let me do some touch and goes. Yeah, I'm gonna land it now. We'll put my landing flaps up, down. I am flying at like 10% throttle right now though, and it's happy. Never mind, you can't go too slow. So I'm gonna put some power into my landing. Alright, so that was my maiden flight on the E-Flite Draco, and from my initial thoughts, it definitely does fly a lot better than what I've seen for like the mixed opinions online. It does, you can definitely feel the weight in the air, and I am a little bit disappointed to see that, well, when you hover on a 3S, it really can't do it because full throttle, it doesn't go higher than like maybe like 50 feet. So we're gonna try it again on the 4S, and then I'll see how I feel. Alright guys, I have the Draco on a 4-cell now, and you can definitely start to feel the weight add up. So I'm hoping that there is power to compensate for it, but even then, I'm not sure how to feel, but let's see. Can start to feel more power, definitely. And let's just go. Ease in some throttle. Flaps down, up, sorry. Always mix up the two. Definitely feel more power already. So this is what, like 10% throttle? Let's try a full throttle vertical. Oh yeah, there we go. So let me put it into a hover and see. Alright, so you do have a bit of wing rocking, but consequences of hovering a high wing plane. I really like the roll rate. It's not too snappy. Again, this is no expo, no dual rates. I don't know what Horizon wants you to put the expo and dual rates to. Kick the flaps down, pick them back up. I really need to practice my hovering on high-wing aircraft. A little bit of aerobatics here. Put my flaps down and let's do some low and slow. Let's put this thing into a spin. That was in the spin. Tumbles well. Yeah, ailerons are really non-existent in the hover, so I have to do some torque rolling. Let me try that now. Wish I could go a little bit lower. Let me try. Gonna do one last hover and then land. Okay, so that was my second flight on the UMX Draco on the Forest battery, and you could definitely see there was a lot more power. Now, more power does not ever necessarily mean good, because, you know, this model is still kind of heavy. And when you add more power, you kind of just go into this weird balance between the two. Now, I found that it isn't as prevalent on this model. You can still fly the plane around, but I really think that this model should have been designed more around the 3S battery pack. Now, obviously, I really don't blame Horizon for having a model weigh this much, because like I said, you have a really nice looking model here, but it would just have been nice if this model was designed more around the 3S, if that means scaling it down or by whatever means. But the 4S is definitely nice. Now, it does do all of the aerobatics that you would want it to, like you're hovering, you're rolling, you're inverted. It does spin quite well, and it does do your tumbling and just throwing your sticks in the corner, of course. And I have my battery, like I said, all the way in the back, so it feels pretty nice in the air actually. Now, I definitely do agree with the skill level for this model, marketed as a 2, because it definitely has a little bit of an intimidation factor to it, 1, but also the way it stalls is definitely not something I don't think a beginner can handle, as opposed to something that's more lightweight. So, you know, definitely skill level 2, definitely agree with that. Now, do I agree with the NX7 bundle? Maybe. I'm not quite too sure yet, but definitely I will follow up in maybe like a month or 2, because I can't really put out a full review on this model yet. This is only my second flight, so maybe after a bit more stress testing, I can get out another video for you guys. But from my initial thoughts, I think it is actually quite a decent model. Obviously, it gets bonus points for just looking absolutely amazing, but I mean, really the redeeming factor here is how well it flies. And I think as a regular plane that with lots of power, I think it flies pretty fine. But as a STOL airplane, I don't think it slows down as much as it should, and definitely it stalls way more than anything of this class because of the extra weight. So I will do a little bit of a follow-up video, but for now, that's what I have to say about this aircraft. So thanks for tuning in to John's RC. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye guys, I'll see you in the next one. Hey guys, John here, and welcome back to John's RC. And today we have the brand new E-Flite Micro Draco. Now this has literally just been released, and we got our hands on one, and it's just such a beautiful model right off the bat. People have been talking about it, wondering how well it actually flies, because if you know anything about the 2.0 Draco, you know that it was a bit of an iffy flyer. It was very heavy because although it was marketed as a STOL aircraft, it was very scale, and the trade-off between the weight and the scaleness, you have all of these details on it, so of course it's going to be heavy. Now, I'm hoping it's a little bit better on the Micro Draco, but I'm hoping that it is a bit better flying this little micro one. So it comes as either a bind and fly or technically a ready to fly. You can either get it with just the plane and nothing else, and you'd have to supply yourself with your own transmitter and battery, or they also come with a package where it comes with an NX7 SE, and NX7E, and I'm not exactly sure why they did that, because it is marketed as a skill level 2 airplane, and marketing it as with an NX7 does seem a little strange. But I will see where this actually sits on the skill level after I made it. So yeah, we got the bind and fly version. I am using a very old transmitter today. This is the Spectrum DX8 Generation 1, and if you're wondering why I'm using this thing, it's because after pulling off a bunch of Spectrum transmitters off the shelf, I found that this, ironically enough, feels the best in the hands, and I also think it just looks the best with the silver aluminum case before they switched over to plastic. So it still feels great, and I'm just hoping the range is still great. So yeah, the battery is actually very interesting for this one. They actually designed a whole new power system specifically for this airplane. So if I open the battery hatch for you, you'll see kind of, I have to switch it over. It's kind of just stuck in the cowling there. But we have a 1412 1500 kV brushless outrunner sitting in the nose here. And you can use two types of batteries for this one. Servos are a little loud. I don't know, sorry. So the battery that we could use for this aircraft is a Spectrum 4-cell 300 mAh battery pack, or a Spectrum 3-cell 300 mAh battery pack. Now, this 4-cell battery is completely brand new. It went on pre-order along with the Draco. So I found it very interesting that they designed a whole new power system around this plane. And as tempting as it is, I will not be plugging this into one of my UMX planes because that just sounds like bad news. So this model does actually use very similar components to that of a UMX plane, although it is marketed as a microplane. So we can see here, if I flip it over, I made disable safe. You can see that it's using the linear servos that a UMX plane uses. So we have two for the aileron, and then we have one in the middle for the flaps, and you can see there's a joiner wire here, and there's a flap servo in the middle of the wing. And over here, if you can kind of see it, you have to like maybe screw the camera in there. But unlike the UMX microplanes, unlike the UMX planes that have the elevator and rudder servos inside the board, there's two individual elevator and rudder servos, but they still plug into a 2-in-1 board that doubles as an ESC and a receiver. So it still uses the components to a microplane. It still uses a UMX plane, and it still uses the same type of battery because you still can use the UMX batteries on it, but it's a micro, all right? So this model has a wingspan of 789 millimeters, and I'll put the length on the screen. I actually forgot it, but I will tell you the flying weight. This model has a flying weight with the 4-cell 300 battery installed of 236 grams. So it still is sub 250 grams, but literally by a hair. Without the battery installed, it has a flying weight of 206 grams, and they did not actually specify what the flying weight is with the 3-cell 300. The 4S is a little bit heavier than the 3S. I think it is actually a little bit way lighter. So if I were to estimate, I would say that with the 3S installed, it would probably be around the 220 gram range. So it definitely on paper does not seem that heavy, but once you hold it, it does, you can certainly feel the weight, because if you do a little walk around on the plane here, it's just so nice looking. I mean, you have all of the paint, you have the 4-bladed prop, you have all of the steps, and you have all of the decals, which are not water decals, so they add more weight. And on the bottom here, you have a bunch of, I would say, not really useful but cool things to have. You have suspension on the wheels. These are not oil shocks, but you know, they're not like some crawler like the SEX24 that we did. But you can see here, if I push down to the plane, you do have suspension, which honestly is not really necessary, but it is cool that they did put it on a little microplane like this. And of course, on the bottom here, you have all of your lights. Again, you have the decals on the bottom, and you have the support wires on the horizontal stabilizer, and it does feel like carbon. So again, all of these things do add weight, so I do not fault them for having a heavy plane of this size, because there's not much you can do if you want to make a scale plane and a lightweight plane. It just doesn't work. So I'm just hoping the weight does not translate too badly in flight, so we'll see. Let's go into a Maiden.